Now, for my last video before the season kicks off, I thought this one would be a good idea. 6 essential players for your FPL drafts. Right, we're going to start by looking at some defenders, and first I'm just going to show you defensive contribution points and their impact. Right, what we've got here is a list of the top scoring defenders in FPL last season with defensive contribution points put on top, right? And it shows you how many of these points some of these defenders scored, right? Elevenify, he did really well for attacking returns last season. He would have been the top scoring defender in the game last season with defensive contribution points included. Murillo would have been second. He scored 38 defensive contribution points. I mean, what's that in assists? That's basically 13 assists worth of points from these defensive contribution bonuses. And you can see some of the other defenders there. And I think for me, it rules out defenders I'd have previously considered to be essential, like maybe Gabriel. I think you're best off spending a little bit less money and getting someone that's better for these defensive contribution points. And my two personal picks would be either Murillo or Neco Williams. And to be honest, I would probably pick the one that is affordable for you. I think you're getting value for money at each price point, right? They both do really well for defensive contribution points. Murillo's slightly better, but he's sort of 0.5 million better, if that makes sense. And I think Neco Williams probably will get himself into more attacking positions this season. So I think, yeah, there's upsides and downsides to both, but they're worth the cash. And these Nottingham Forest defenders, just with the way Forest set up to play football, they're always, in my mind, especially under Nuno, they're always going to do well for defensive contribution points. And what we've got here is a graphic from someone who's really useful to follow on X, FPL Tom Hadley. This shows you basically how often specific defenders hit defensive contribution bonus. It's not just, you can see Williams is on this list on the right, 32.1% of the time he got it. And then Murillo got it 52.8% of the time. Tarkowski is actually the leading defender for defensive contribution points, but I just think with Branthwaite being injured now, I'd really question how Everton are going to set up, and I probably just wouldn't go for Tarkowski. But if you're looking for other defenders that are good, this is probably a good source as well. But for me, one of Neco Williams and Murillo are probably essential now. Now, I just wanted to quickly say that this video is brought to you by Fantasy Football Hub. You can use Fantasy Football Hub to input your FPL team, get all the expected points data for all of your players. You can see how that looks on the little phone screen there, and an AI team rating. I find that really useful. It helped me get a 24k finish last year. Also, if you sign up to Fantasy Football Hub using the link in the description below, I get you 50% off. And if you don't win your mini league, you get your money back. I'm going to talk about a couple of midfielders now. First up is Elliot Anderson. And I think now he does genuinely have a rival at his price point in Reinders at 5.5 million. I think Reinders is a perfectly decent pick, but I think Elliot Anderson is he's fantastic. I think he will probably get somewhere near, I would suggest, Morgan Rogers' points total from last season. So Elliot Anderson is 5.5 million. He got 2 goals and 6 assists last season. On the face of it, that's not an amazing return. But in terms of defensive contribution points, he scored 36 last season, right? Now that is the equivalent of 12 assists. If you add 12 assists to the total of goals and assists that he got last season, that would be 20 attacking returns, 2 goals, 18 assists, right? Which is basically what Morgan Rogers got last season. So I don't think I need to say any more about Elliot Anderson. I do think those attacking returns will probably improve. Without Elanga, I think Forest are going to have to, goals and assists will come from elsewhere. And I think Anderson is going to take some of the set pieces off of Elanga as well. And I also think Bruno Fernandes is going to be a really solid option this year. Regardless of whether he's playing deeper or not for Man United, he's going to get attacking returns. I just don't see a way around where he doesn't. You know, he always scores goals. He always sets goals up. And I think, particularly with Bruno Fernandes, the new signings that Man United have made, I think will only serve him well in FPL. Because I think, particularly at the start of last season, he was creating a lot of chances that his teammates just weren't finishing because they weren't of the quality to finish them. I think with the signing of Sesko, Cunha, and they've got an entirely new front three now. I just think the chances that Bruno Fernandes creates, they're going to be taken a lot more with this new front three of Man United. And also, we'll just look at defensive contribution points. Just adjusting my mic a second. what we've got here is the percentage of games, again, from FPL Tom Hadley, that these players scored 4 or more points. Right, so if you look at your team each game week, Bruno Fernandes last season, with defensive contribution points included, would have scored 55% of the games, 4+ points. And Elliot Anderson in 52% of the games. So these sort of really good players for defensive contribution points, they're just solid, consistent returners, which is something I really like in FPL, and something I would say would define these players as almost, if not, yeah, I think at least Elliot Anderson anyway is essential. One more midfielder then who has dropped a lot in ownership, but I think we've seen enough from, well, a couple of interviews and some training footage from Villa that he's fit. Morgan Rogers picked up a knock in pre-season, and before that knock, he was one of the most popular midfielders in the game. And his ownership has completely dropped, particularly amongst engaged managers. Now it looks like he's fit. I think you've got to have him in your team. You know, he's got great fixtures to kick the season off. 19 attacking returns last year. He's a minutes like monster. You know, he's going to play every game, probably for 90 minutes, much like he did last season under Unai Emery. And you got to think he's going to have improved as a player as well, because, you know, he's a young footballer. That's what they do over summer breaks, right? I really like Morgan Rogers. I really like the Aston Villa fixtures. Yeah, he's going to play every game, every minute of every game, which is just, it's something I really value in an FPL asset. You know, someone who's going to start every game. You don't have to worry about them. He ticks all the boxes for me. And finally, I think with forwards in the game, there are question marks about pretty much every forward in the game, apart from Ollie Watkins. You look at Erling Haaland, who's going to do really well this season, I've no doubt about it, but I think he's too expensive. So that's the question mark you've got about Erling Haaland. Isak, well, he's refusing to play for Newcastle at the moment. You can't pick him. Gyökeres, unproven in the Premier League, didn't have the best pre-season. Watkins, he's going to start every game for Villa. He pretty much guarantees you 15 to 20 Premier League goals. There's a real competition for his spot. I don't think he's going to take penalties, to be fair, but he's got really good fixtures to kick off the season. You go down in price. Bowen, I just think he's going to play on the wing. Doesn't necessarily take penalties. West Ham, not the best team. 7.5 million strikers. I think there's a question mark about pretty much all of them. Like João Pedro, his minutes could be limited. Chris Wood, he scored 20 Premier League goals, but Forest have barely scored in pre-season. Mateta's got tough fixtures. You know, the list goes on of doubts you could have about other strikers in the game. But I just think Ollie Watkins, he's not the most explosive FPL option, don't get me wrong. But I just don't think there's any question marks about him. And for that reason, I think he should be in your team. Alright, well, that's the end of the video. My final video before the FPL season kicks off. I'll be live on this channel at 1 PM for the deadline stream, but I thought I'd get a video out anyway, because people can watch this in the morning. If they don't fancy catching the live stream, you know, you can watch this separately as well. So, wanted to get this video out. 6 players who I think are essential going into the FPL season. Leave a like rating if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you agree with any of those shouts, disagree with any of those shouts, or think there should be any more that are added. And yeah, I think Salah should probably be added, but he's kind of a given, isn't he? If you want to see more content from me, I should say as well, please subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. It should be just there on your screen. And yeah, that is everything. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.